Hey, Shalom, Shalom. I'd like to begin first and foremost by saying Barakatah, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashabrakah, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, and salutations to the sincere Akiam pushing this truth in all due diligence and sincerity. The chariots of Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai are going to come back and mess this place up, man. Absolutely destroy Esau Edom and his whole establishment. And fucking can't wait for this place to go down. Revelations 1 verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, meaning that the centurions that were by Yahushua's side that plunged their spears into him are on the earth now, not 2,000 plus years old, but reincarnated for this very moment, man, that we're living in right now, right? And they're going to be here to see Yahushua in all his glory when he returns. He's going to come in the chariots, the chariots of heaven, man, known as UFOs or UAPs by Esau Eden, by his bullshit corporate definitions, and they're going to wreak havoc upon the face of the earth. It says, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, amen. So people are going to be crying out in anguish, pain. But why are they going to be crying out in anguish and pain? I'll give you the answer to that. Isaiah the 66th chapter and the 15th verse. For behold, the Lord Yahweh, why Yahweh Shai? Because the Lord Yahweh is going to send Yahweh Shai, his son, to come down to bring judgment. The Heavenly Father ain't going to get off his throne to deal with these peasant devils that are currently ruling the earth. He's going to give Yahweh Shai the honor of ultimately liberating Israel by taking Esau down and delivering us Yahweh Shai, Ra'azah, whereof the elect through those chariots, man. So Isaiah 66 and 15 says, for behold, the Lord Yahweh Shai will come with his chariots, will come with fire through the chariots, and with his chariots like a whirlwind. So the chariots of the Lord are going to come and they're going to bring fire, man. Because you see, the cleansing agent during the time of Noah was water. On this go around, it's fire, man. And that's exactly what the chariots of the Lord are going to come with, like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord Yahweh shall plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. So there's gonna be a lot of death, man. A significant amount of it, man. Real death, tribulation, judgment, man, coming upon the face of the earth to judge the people, man. And the Lord is gonna be the one that's bringing it both through the chariots, but ultimately causing these nations to go to war. Because you see, the chariots of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh have a dual responsibility, which is to deliver the elect and ultimately to bring judgment and death upon the wicked, man. Hence why when you go into Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, and it speaks about the chariot, the fathership that Yahweh Shai is on. Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, verse 2. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea that it moved all the waves thereof. Just the presence alone of the Lord on that chariot, man. Man, and I beheld, and lo, that man, Yahweh Shai, speaking about here, waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. See, when he was about to be handed over to be crucified, he said unto Pilate that, no, you know, I could call down legions of angels. I forget the exact amount that he quoted, but legions of thousands and thousands of angels, man. And he said, listen, like, if this was my kingdom, my servants would fight, man. He told Pilate straight, like, yo, I could call the angelic recruits and they come here and wreak havoc, but it's not time for that just yet. However, Ezra saw the vision, man, of Yahweh with the legions, man, that are going to come back and destroy this place. And you know just the account and power of one angel alone in the account of David, for example, when he had numbered the people. Man, listen, Esau is finished. Absolutely fucking finished, man. I beheld, and lo, that man Yahweh waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, the angels. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that was seen under him. And whensoever the voice out went out of his mouth. All they burned that heard the voice, like as the earth fadeth when it feedeth the fire. What Ezra was seeing there was basically a vision of what it's going to be like when the Lord sends those chariots down and they start zapping up everything, man. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out the sea. Talking about all of the different nations, man, that are going to be at war with each other at a time, but are gonna turn their efforts into a mutual attempt towards trying to take Yahushua down, and they're gonna fail epically, man. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out the sea. So that's going to be, of course, the army of modern day Babylon, America. You're going to have these European armies. You're going to have Moab up in the mix also, because all these nations, all these heathen are going to come together to try and fight against the common threat, which will be Yahushua against them. You're even going to have Israelites in their army, man, trying to fight against the Lord and the angels. Think about that. But anyways, this is the two-thirds. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it, talking about the chariot. But I would have seen the regional place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So, the chariots come in different sizes. Zechariah described a smaller chariot. Here we're seeing Ezra speak on the chariot that Yahushua himself was on. And then he described it as a mountain. It was so huge, it looked like a man riding on a mountain to Ezra's, man. And he said, but I would have seen the regional place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So he couldn't even see where it started, and really, ultimately speaking, the full width or breadth or length of it. After this, I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were so afraid and yet thus fight. So, they the nations were shook. And even in the law, I mean, of course, Esau Edom's not going to wave the white flag, but in the law, it explicitly states if you come to war against a nation and they surrender unto you, don't kill them, you just take them as servants unto you, man, and ultimately spare their lives, but put them in servitude. Esau Edom is going to be shook. His servicemen are going to be scared when they see the true majesty of the Lord, because they know that there's sentient life in the form of the angels beyond earth, but they don't know the true extent and the power that's out there, man, through Yahweh Shai and his angels. So when they encounter the Lord on that day, they're going to be scared, man. They're going to be very scared, very shook, but they're still going to have to fight, man. Still going to get put in their spirit to do so. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword nor any instrument of war. And because this is all prophesied already, so it's going to happen. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast sparks and tempest. So these basically are visions of the different sort of forms of weaponry, if you will, that are going to be shot out from those chariots. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one. Jeez. No prisoners. So that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Yeah, of course, Ezra was worried, man, because he saw that great power. Afterwards saw I the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another peaceable multitude. Now this is ultimately the elect. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, and some of them were bound, and other were brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I awakened and said, Thou hast showed thy servant these wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou shouldest receive my prayer. And ultimately the angel had broken it down to Ezra throughout the chapter that was a representation of Yahushua returning upon the face of the planet Earth, man. But the chariots have always been there, like I always say. They were there during the time of Egypt. That's what guided us through the wilderness with Yahushua leading us. They've been there during the time, even during the time of Elijah and Elisha. That's what parted Elijah and Elisha and took Elijah up, man. Enoch and that, like, Hey, listen. Sorry. During the time of Elijah and Elisha, there's been they've been around from the beginning. Ultimately, Acts 1 and 11. Let me start from 10. Let's start from 9. Actually, Acts 1 and 9. And when he had spoken these things, the last words that Yahushua gave to his apostles, you see, it's even titled the Ascension in this part of the chapter. While they beheld, he was taken up, and the cloud received him out of their sight, a chariot, man. And while they looked steadfastly towards heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel. These are the angels, man. As Yahushua was going up on the tractor beam, yeah, or whatever what phrase you want to use to call it, he was being beamed up into the chariot. Two men stood by the apostles on the ground in white apparel, which also said, "Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing into heaven?" Like, and you can imagine, because they're seeing the Lord getting beamed up into this chariot. They're thinking, "Yo, the power of heaven, the angels, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushua which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven." And we just read how he's going to come in Second Ezra, the 15th chapter, 13th chapter. Hence why he also said before he left in the Gospel of Matthew in particular, if they tell you Yahushua is in the desert or he's in a far country, believe ye not, man. Believe ye not. Because the Lord is going to come through the chariots. We read earlier in Revelations 1 and 7 that every eye shall see him. It's going to be a big, major occurrence, undeniable occurrence when Yahushua cracks them clouds and returns back onto the face of the planet Earth, man. And we're gonna be here to witness it, Yahushua. Yo, beautiful times are coming, man. Beautiful times. Kwam Yashala, the chariots of salvation are on their way. Shalom.